Hello, and welcome to weeks 22 through 25 of my pregnancy. I've really kind of been slacking here the last few months because I have 4 weeks to get caught up on right now. But there's been a lot going on. So I had my first prenatal yoga teacher training weekend, and that was in week 22. And it was a great experience. I drove up to Michigan from Wisconsin and had 3 days with five other lovely ladies. I was the only one that was currently pregnant, but there was two ladies who were very shortly after delivery. So one was 2 months postpartum, and one was 4 months postpartum, and then some of the other ladies were moms of older children. And I learned a lot about how to modify not just my own practice, but leading other people through it. Ways to structure a prenatal class, to include things like mantras to be used during birth and different positions and breathing techniques that can also be used during labor, as well as, just being very gentle and mindful of everything that you do. And I found it interesting that I had not really been modifying to the extent that would be taught in a prenatal class when it comes to my own personal practice, and then of course the way that I was teaching, my regular flow classes. So since then, I feel like it's really caused me to change some of my teaching. I obviously still, teach my regular classes, but I don't really demonstrate as much anymore. So I used to always really teach from the mat and describe what I was doing, and then, the students would be able to watch me and go from there. And I did make some small adjustments or kind of slow my pace a little bit throughout the pregnancy, but now being in my 6th month, I really, I don't do the full practice with them anymore. And I feel that it's actually made me a better teacher because I can pay more attention to my students. I can walk through the class. I can, give them some cues for verbal assists when, they need to make some adjustments. And I can still demonstrate, certain sections of the flow, just not necessarily the whole thing. So that's been a big change for me. And then let's see, after that, I had another appointment with my midwife. I went in at 24 weeks, and I feel like this was the first time that I had like a million questions for her. Before that, I feel like, I was kind of just absorbing a lot of information through podcasts and books and other people's stories and things like that. But it was still early enough that I didn't feel like I really had a ton of things to ask her. So one of the things that I did decide on, and I can't remember if I talked about it on here or not, but placenta encapsulation is something that I plan to do. And luckily, the birth center that I go through, they offer it as a service because one of the midwives that practices there has a business that does that exclusively. So basically, for those of you that haven't heard of what placenta encapsulation is, it's basically taking the placenta and drying it out and putting it into pill form to be consumed later. So, cultures and women have been consuming placentas for many years, but this is maybe like the westernized version because you're not really just taking it home and frying it up in a pan because that doesn't sound very appetizing. But these pills basically are kind of just like personalized vitamins, really. I mean, the benefits are supposed to include things like quicker hormone levels going back to normal, decreased risk of postpartum depression, slower, or not slower, faster healing rate in just your overall postpartum recovery, increased milk production. So, all kinds of good things. There's not a ton of scientific research on it, it's a lot of anecdotal stuff, but it was within my price range to where I feel that it's something that I would like to try. So, I'm excited to move forward with that. And some of the other things that we talked about were my maternity leave, because I needed to be on the same page with her and make sure that she could give me the recommendation that I needed in order to get the amount of time off of work that I'm looking for. So I am thankful enough that I get to use short-term disability, which means that I will get a percentage of my pay, which is huge because, just regularly using FMLA, which is what a lot of women use here in the United States, doesn't guarantee any pay. Basically, all it guarantees is that they won't fire you during that time. So, luckily, I do have, a little bit more of an option. And that short-term disability gives me a maximum of 6 months. And it's all based on the recommendation of my care provider. So, as much as I would love to use the full 6 months, I, number one, don't think that we could really afford for my income to be at a slash level for that long. But also, they're not guaranteed to keep my job during that time. I'm really only protected for 3 months under that FMLA. So anything beyond that, they don't have to keep me, and they can just say, we will find something else for you to do when you come back. And that might, be at a different wage level. It might be in a different department, different job duties. And I'm really not interested in having to deal with all of that. So I am going to shoot for 4 months because I still think that is a fair amount of time that they should be able to hold my position, especially since I have been working on training my backup for that time. So I know that there will be somebody in place to be doing, all the responsibilities and duties that I would normally be doing. And then it's still long enough that I feel I'll get a decent amount of healing and bonding time. So that's what I'm aiming for. And my midwife was totally on board. She said she would definitely give the recommendation for 4 months, or really as long as I needed. So super happy to hear that. Let's see. I was kind of asking about some of what they provide, during the actual birth, like props, like birthing balls and birthing stools and, all kinds of different stuff like that. And they have everything there, so I don't need to bring anything myself unless, she said if there's something that helps you be really comfortable, like maybe a pregnancy pillow that you love or something, bring it along. But otherwise, they pretty much have everything there, so that's nice. Let's see. I asked about bathing practices for the baby after they're born, and pretty much, it's so different than a hospital. There's really not one. There's not a bathing practice. They're like, we'll wipe off the face if you want us to, and that's kind of it. And then I guess the next day, though, they do fill the tub with some herbs, and they recommend the moms take a bath, and then the babies can go in with the moms and take a bath. So, because they all have those, big whirlpool tubs in the rooms, so it's cleaned from after the birth, and then like the next day, mom and baby can take a bath. So that's exciting. Let's see. We talked about the 411 rule, which, if you haven't heard of that, basically it means if your contractions are 4 minutes apart, lasting for a minute over the course of an hour, then that's usually when they tell you to go into the hospital, because now you're in active labor rather than just early labor. So, being a little bit further away from the birthing center, I wasn't sure if, I needed to adjust that a little bit. And she said, really, that's still a good rule, especially, being a first time mom. It's usually not going to go super fast. It's not like I'm driving over an hour. It's like 40 minutes. So, and of course, I will be calling them and in touch with them, and they can kind of help me gauge when to come in. So, just kind of starting to think about those things. Speaking of more things going into the actual birth, my fiance and I have been trying to agree on who is allowed in the room when I give birth. So he is a much more private person than I am, and I'm really close to a lot of my family, and so I'm more open to having other people in the room. So pretty much the agreement that we came to is that it will be him, my mom, and my one sister. And, I was really adamant about having that sister there because my mom might drive me crazy and I might kick her out, or I might not want her there at all, and my fiance might not be prepared to give me what I need in the moment. And so I need somebody there who I know can support me and keep me calm and kind of manage, the rest of the room in the situation if I'm not able to. So that's what my sister's there for. But then I really don't want to pay for a birth photographer. It's just another expense that I don't really feel I have the finances to be able to handle right now. But that is something that's important to me, is I want documentation. I want pictures. I think that, it's a beautiful process and it's a once in a lifetime experience, and it would be wonderful to be able to look back on it. So originally I asked, I have siblings that are twins, a brother and a sister. And I asked them if they would want to be in charge of taking pictures. And they were both super excited and wanted to be there. And were, all about it. And then my fiance was really not happy about that. He just started to feel overwhelmed by the number of people and, the fact of having a brother there who's not another female makes him uncomfortable. So I kind of talked to them on the side and said that, I might need you guys to back off and give us space and have some other duties as well, like keeping other family members updated or cooking us a meal. I definitely want you there, but you might not be able to be in the room the whole time. Might be more in the waiting room, that kind of thing. So just making them aware that, it's my fiance's day too, and his experience as well, and he gets to have a say. So we're coming to an agreement on that, and it's getting better. Excuse me. Let's see. My next appointment with the midwife is they will be doing the glucose screening. So I found out that they do not use that like sketchy drink, whatever it is the hospital uses. They just use a banana and grape juice, which is awesome. But they're, in order to make that work correctly and to avoid getting false positives, they really want you to be extra conscious of what you're eating throughout, the whole day leading up to that, and like the timing of when you're eating and what you're eating and things like that. So I decided to take a vacation day from work so that I could really focus on the timing of the right meals and preparing things ahead of time before I go down for that. I think that's pretty much it as far as the appointments go. As you can probably tell, I've been sniffling and probably sound all nasally. I am getting a cold again, or I've had a cold again for almost a week now. So this is the second one during this pregnancy. Also fun. It kind of worked out the same way as the last time, where it started all in my chest, and I was using an inhaler to kind of relieve some of that tightness. And then after a couple of days, it really just started to move up into my sinuses and, um, runny nose, stuffy nose, headache, that kind of stuff. So, been dealing with that for almost a week now. I feel like I'm on the tail end of it, so hopefully it will be gone soon. And yeah, other than that, I have another prenatal yoga teacher training weekend coming up this next weekend. So in the next video, I will update you guys on that. And as far as, really changes in symptoms and experiences, it's, my bump's gotten bigger. It feels like it grows more every day. Certainly, more noticeable as I'm nearing the end of my second trimester now, which is just crazy. The movement is steady. I feel her move every day, which is great. I love it. And my fiance can feel it now too if I, place his hand in the right place at the right time and kind of push down a little bit. It's still not like super strong from the outside, but you can definitely feel when something's going on. So that's been really exciting. The invitations for my baby shower have gone out. So that is now about 2 months away. So kind of just gearing up and getting ready for that. And I think that's everything that I really wanted to talk about in this video. So I will talk to you guys next time.